Oh, the coffee is needed today. Somehow Johns and I managed to dress the same again.
No. Just different, same color, different attire.
Yeah, technically it's different. Wow, what a morning it's already been. Welcome in. Live edition of Hogan Johns on a Monday morning as we do. The Bears are, boy, are they Bears in right now. Holy moly, Johns. That was a crazy game yesterday. And before we get to that and how disastrous it was and really how disastrous this season is turning in just a 3-week period, perhaps unlike anything we've covered, to be quite frank. Let's talk about what just happened about 15 minutes ago, because that was unbelievable.
That was radio gold, as they call it. I think we're going to play some of this here shortly. So I think this just gives everyone, well, we know we have a lot of listeners in Europe, in Australia, all over the country, all over the world. So I think we want to give everyone a taste of what the mood is like in Chicago itself right now.
So to set this up, what we know this morning is that Matt Eberflus was supposed to talk to the media at 10:45. That was already moved back to noon. This is local Chicago time. And then he does a weekly radio appearance with Cap and Hood on ESPN 1000, which is the flagship of the Chicago Bears, at 8:20 in the morning. So it was really interesting to see how he was going to handle that, considering no changes have been announced. Seems like changes are imminent, at least with the offensive coordinator situation. And he showed up about 8-9 minutes late for this, which was starting to be interesting because you could tell Cap and Hood were kind of stalling. And then he gets on, and the connection's horrible.
He's apparently in a tunnel somewhere.
I mean, it's so bad. It's obviously a cell phone, and there's no like it's cutting out one time, they reset. It cuts out a second time, they reset, and then it goes okay for a little bit, and then this happens. Take a listen.
Coach, I asked you this last week that, are you in crisis? And you said, no, we're not. If this isn't crisis, I don't know what it is. So I ask you again, is this a crisis that's going on right now in Hallis Hall, and how does it get addressed?
You know, we're looking at this week and this week only. We do have evidence on tape that we've played good football during the course of this year. We got to pull on those experiences.
Coach, your cell phone's as bad as the offense right now.
All right, we'll put them on hold and see if we can reestablish.
Damn. I mean, come on, man. This is 2024. Can we get a freaking landline? I mean, what are we doing? Seriously. Get the man a phone that works, please.
We'll try to reestablish with Matt Eberflus momentarily. Here on the
I'm serious.
Cap and J Hood Morning Show.
Yeah, Cap, you're not wrong. Communication issues prevalent all season for the football team.
I mean, his phone line's as bad as Waldron's play calling. I mean, what are we doing?
Any answers there that suffice?
No, because he doesn't want to use the word crisis, but it is. If last week wasn't a crisis, you are in crisis. Kevin Byard says, I'm not going to go there when asked if these coaches could still, have the room. Cole Kmet 3 weeks ago was talking about the preparation. Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore. You're in crisis. Just say it. Yes, this is a freaking crisis, and we better close ranks and find a way to fix this. Because it's freaking embarrassing to have a charter franchise look that god-awful, unprepared, uninspired, and it falls at his feet. It does. Say it.
And the answers are the same,
Christ's
though, Cap.
sake.
They're the same answers, though, because for a couple years, he never put it on himself. And now this year, he's saying, yeah, it's all on me. It falls on me. Yeah, it does. It always fell on you as a head coach. All of it.
Correct.
When you're the head coach, it always falls. It's just this last few games now, he's saying that the issues with the football team falls on him. I would imagine, since he's not calling back, that'll be all for Matt Eberflus.
Run the car. It's time for Auto Hotline. Damn.
We're done.
I mean, come on, man. That's not us. That's their phone line.
That's our good friend David Kaplan from ESPN 1000.
I'm not sure the Flus is coming back on that show the rest of the season.
I thought last year he opted out of that show, went to the afternoon show.
It did, yeah. I think they tried to say that was a scheduling conflict, but
am I revealing something here?
No, that was happened. The same thing happened last year. They moved. He ended up doing it with Waddle and Sylvia in the afternoon. Not that Sylvie's gonna be any easier. I mean, but yeah, a mentor of mine, our friend Zach Zayman, once told me to don't waste all your ammo on Twitter. Save it for the air. And I am not gonna lie to you, Johns. What Cap just said there, I had loaded up as a tweet. The second time it dropped out, I was about to tweet that the phone line's worse than the Bears offense. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to save that line for Hogan Johns in 15 minutes. And then Cap just went right with it. So good for him.
I thought they usually did those types of interviews through landlines to, prevent such catastrophes like that. The timing of it is just impeccable. It's just a complete mess.
You could argue though that actually helped end what was a disaster quicker, because if we're going to actually talk about, we need to, what was actually said by the head coach in that interview. I mean, holy shit. I mean, seriously, like the denial. We've already seen this. We've already heard this 2 weeks ago on the same radio hit. Those 13 yards didn't matter. I didn't need to call a timeout because everybody was set when Tyreek Stevenson was definitely not set and ready for the play. And then the same thing. We're not in a crisis. It's just about this week. Now, the headline that we need to get to, Shane Waldron. Asked directly if there's going to be an OC change. Matt Eberflus said, we're looking at that right now. What do you say? He said exactly.
Here's I got a little bit of it.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the process of that evaluation. We're in the middle of that process of that evaluation.
And then he went on to say in a follow-up later that they'll basically have that all figured out in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Game plan meetings start on Tuesday.
So here's how and maybe I'll be wrong. We're about to do what we were wrong about segment, so maybe I'll be wrong about this too. But the way I interpret that, Johns, is what the most just trying to make sense of that. I think there will be a different play caller this week, but Shane Waldron will still be on the staff. And they're going to try to keep it in wraps about
who it is,
what's normal Bears bullshit. To be honest with you, to be completely frank, just cannot operate like a normal organization. Dude, you have 23 consecutive drives where you've not scored a touchdown. And that is second only, shout out to Mike Sando, who had this in his athletic story this morning, second only to Mitch Trubisky in the 2017 Bears offense since 2005, which was, if I believe, was 2005 or was it 2004, like the Craig Krenzel horrible, that might have been 2004, but one of those two bad years. We're talking about historically bad. Historically bad. And then what happened in 2017? Dow Loggins, Mitch Trubisky, everybody's getting fired. We all knew it was coming. It was the exact same situation. It's like the only people that don't realize what's happening here are the people inside that building. And all it is insulting to everybody watching, listening, having to put on that radio interview right there. And no, we're not in crisis. We'll figure this all out in 24 to 48 hours. Dude, it's done. It's toast. You need to make a change. You're ruining your rookie quarterback again.
Your rookie quarterback was just sacked 9 times. 9 freaking times. Your rookie quarterback that he took with the first overall pick is 23rd in yards per pass, 23 yards, 20. Sorry, let me start over. 28th in pass rating among qualified quarterbacks, 31st in QBR, 32nd in completion percentage, 34th in sack percentage, 34th. 32nd in adjusted net yards per pass attempt. There is no development. This is just as bad as it's ever been.
I want to bring up this tweet from Jason Leisure because I was thinking I had a similar thought, and he just did a really good job of articulating it in back-to-back tweets. He said, this was shortly after, this was about 9 minutes ago, actually. He said, what little Matt Eberflus said indicated he's going to drag out the offensive play caller decision for a couple days. That's a really bad move. This part of the story could be over and done in one day, and they move forward. But that's been a consistent blind spot in his tenure. This has been a repeat issue with him on Allen Williams, Chase Claypool, Fields versus Getsy, Tyreek Stevenson, and other problems. He's had a consistent lack of awareness in the public handling of bad situations. That was supposedly a targeted improvement this year.
Well, that's an organizational thing.
But, Johns, they made organizational changes here, too.
Yeah. Oh,
they did. That's a storyline.
Maybe they're wrong too.
I don't know what to make about this because you keep making all these changes and yet the same things keep playing out over and over again. And it's mind-boggling. It really is. I thought that there was, especially when you heard what Flus said in his press conference yesterday after the game. Like and maybe they'll still make a change here. Maybe somebody over there in the next 3 hours before Flus talks again at noon will wake up and realize that this is just not how it's not fair to your players, by the way. I made this point on the post-game show yesterday. The reason why you had 4 captains on 4 separate shows come out and say things out, that they later got slapped on the wrist for not keeping in the locker room 2 weeks ago was because the head coach was incapable of waking up at 8:20 in the morning on ESPN 1000 and saying what needed to be said and take the accountability. And it put his players in a position where they had to be outspoken. So you're going to drag this out the next 48 hours and put them in a position where whether it's the press conferences today or Cole Kmet on his show tomorrow or all these other interviews that are going to take place, Jalen Johnson, I'm sure DJ Moore already went on the score this morning. I don't know what he said. They're going to be in a position where they're in limbo too. And what are they supposed to say? Just be the head coach for 5 seconds.
It would further muddy keeping Waldron on staff. I don't know where he would go. Obviously, the title wouldn't change. He's being paid what he's being paid. He's got a contract and all that. But keeping him on staff would further muddy an already sloppy situation. It would send so many mixed messages to the locker room in terms of accountability, like their own messages not being heard, falling on deaf ears, further confuse them in a sense. I don't know how that would work if that's something they're considering, if something that they're talking about with Kevin Warren, Ted Cruz, Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles, if that's what they're all talking about today, I'm not sure how it works. I'm not sure how that would be tenable. I mean, it was just further muddy things. It would further ruin things for a young quarterback. This situation was supposed to be different for Caleb Williams. Instead, it's much like before. Stories that we know very well, but stories that continue to unfold here with different characters in place.
Well, and that's the most important part, right? You still have 8 games here. So your option is to keep status quo and either keep going down this road where you're denying what's in front of you and further stunt your quarterback's development as he goes into the hardest part of the season. Or you could do what I'm pretty sure any other organization in the NFL would do right now. And at minimum, make some changes on the offensive staff to at least try to get this in a different direction. I wanted to bring up Mike Sando's piece.
Oh, there's some good stuff on there. It's on.
Do you have this in front of you? I was trying to
athletic.com. I could pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I was trying to bring it up and I accidentally brought up Kevin's Fishman story. Kevin, we don't need your story right now.
What do you want me to read?
Well, Kevin the reason why I accidentally pulled up Kevin's was because he did a great job of tweeting out the quotes earlier, and they're confusing.
Kevin's confusing.
No, the quotes from the executives that Sando put in here
I think this
are concerning. Let me say that they're concerning.
This let me read you 2 paragraphs from it. Mike Sando, senior NFL writer for The Athletic, he has a weekly column where he polls executives anonymously across the league for temperature checks, vibe checks on certain teams. This year, it's the Bears. The headline reads itself, the sky is falling on the Bears, but should we be shocked? And then we have this piece as I scroll down to it.
I got it if you want me to.
You got it? The execs part? Is that what you wanted to get to?
Okay. Yeah, so one anonymous NFL executive said, the GM won't want to fire the coach unless the president is on board with that. And the president is not going to turn the reins over to a proven coach, one exec predicted. Their structure definitely defines how much oxygen is left in the room, and there is not a lot. You are not going to get a big fish. So, wow. I mean, at minimum, that gives you a peek into what the outside view is of this power structure. And specifically, like Kevin Warren. And if that's true, like, and we kind of felt this way last year too, like the idea of going out and getting Jim Harbaugh, right? That would be a big fish.
It was never going to happen.
Right. And so you're basically saying, like, there's not enough oxygen in the room to get a Jim Harbaugh in there. Now, for Bears fans, so you don't freak out, he does go on to say that, like, the Lions' Ben Johnson or the Texans' Bobby Slowick, are basically you need a first-time head coach. But it ain't going to be Bill Belichick.
And then if we can recall the last time that the Bears did go get a big name proven head coach, his name was John Fox, who had a living segment on the show full of just bad quotes and became himself a bad spokesman for the Chicago Bears as a franchise.
I mean, okay.
For those following the Bears power structure, it's George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, the new president, who's been in place for about 2 years now. And then you have Ryan Poles reporting to Kevin Warren, although when he was hired, Ryan Poles, he reported directly to George McCaskey. Ted Phillips retired, in came Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren became that buffer between McCaskey and football.
Am I wrong, Johns, am I overstepping or overreaching by saying that I think this is an incredibly important time for Kevin Warren?
Yeah.
You think I am?
No, I'm saying you're not overreacting.
Okay.
I think it is, but it's the cycle that we know. Do you trust those in power to make the right decision when it comes to what's next at head coach, what's next at offensive coordinator, when there's really no track record of Kevin Warren of doing such things?
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I don't. But what's playing out right now, though, I guess my point is exactly what was supposed to be different under new leadership. For all the blame Ted Phillips, people, myself included.
Have we gotten the quarterback situation completely right? No. Have we won enough games? No. Everything else is there.
What's different? You know what I mean? Like that. I think it's there. And we're getting into this, like, what we're wrong about, and we're going to talk about Caleb here. But I thought that this avoiding things like what just happened about 45 minutes ago on the radio. This was all supposed to be different. And I'm just wondering if they really go into this next 48 hours. And maybe something will change here. Maybe somebody over there is going to do something different. But they're going to go in these next 40 hours with the same noise, the same controversies, the same crisis, the same bad messaging. And I'm just wondering what's actually different here.
Well, when it comes to changing or firing a head coach during the season, something the Bears have never done under George McCaskey, it's because of George McCaskey himself. That is his preference. He is the boss. Kevin Warren, well, a major influence now at Hallis Hall, still answers to George McCaskey.
I think we haven't won enough under the leadership of George McCaskey, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah. I mean, all right. Should we talk about what we were wrong about?
Let's get to our voicemails first.
Oh,
everyone's
voicemails first. These were fun. Apparently, we got over 100 Matt Eberflus voicemails for the second straight week, and our poor producer Kent, who does such a great job with these, has to sort through all of them.
What's the over/under? Let's set one on swear words that snuck through Kent's editing. I'm going to set it at 2.5.
Okay. I like it. Well, you let's count them up here. Here we go. Here's your voicemails from yesterday's catastrophe against the awful New England Patriots.
Hello?
Do you know who this is?
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
The Hogan Johns voicemail. The Hogan Johns voicemail line.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
Got any questions or comments about the Bears? Give the guys a call before, after, or even during the game.
Go Bears!
5 minutes till kickoff. I don't know if this team's worth getting emotionally invested in, but if it's even close, I'm just going to be disappointed.
And that's another first drive. 3 and out, Bears fans.
13-yard punt. An actual 13-yard punt that actually happened.
A swing pass behind the line of scrimmage. Fire Waldron. Oh, that guy. What is he doing? Does not know how to use personnel. Him. This team. Go Bears.
Guys, I'm starting to think the lakefront might be cursed. Maybe it's a good thing the Bears are the largest landowners in Arlington Heights. Go Bears, I guess.
It is the start of the second quarter, and I'm asking myself, why do I not get a psych evaluation done?
Seriously, this team has given up. Tied 3-3 with the Patriots. What's it going to take for us to finally fire head coach in season? Come on, McCaskey, this is ridiculous.
Hogan Johns, what's up? Day one of not watching the Bears, and it is luxurious. I got 4 games on, no stress. Hoping for a Patriots win here so we can blow it up and finally get a coach that, I don't know, knows how to coach. Peace.
These guys cannot be f***ing allowed to coach next week against the Packers. They're down to 3 third-string linemen with no timeouts at a 2-minute drill, and they're calling a f***ing draw play. What the f*** are we even f***ing doing? Bring back f***ing that f***ing F from Canada. I don't even f***ing care anymore.
Long time, first time, calling in from the hotel room in Costa Rica during my honeymoon because I'm watching this godforsaken team because I have an absolute f***ing problem. Bear down.
Halftime, gentlemen, and I think real bad day. It's the media. I wish the media had come to play today.
Hogan Cat, Jonesy Bad, Bob Dabrowski calling in from the saddest place in the universe. Boys, you got to respect the quit in this team. It's rare to see a team quit halfway through the season at a 4-4 and technically still in the playoff hunt. But this team has quit with a exclamation point unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. Waldron is getting fired tomorrow. Eberflus is getting fired after the Packers game for the first time in Bears history. Wasted season on Caleb Williams. Let's regroup for 2025. Go Bears.
Let him go. Let him go. Just fire Flus into the sun. Let him go. Let him go. All us Bears fans are f***ing done.
All right, it's time for Waldron to go. I'm
third down, we call trips left, 3 receivers on the left side, and they all run to the exact same spot. All right, this guy needs to go. Cole Kmet, target. Everybody take a shot.
It's 2 o'clock Central Time. I'm a broken man. Shane Waldron's offense. Caleb Williams on third down. I'm a broken man.
I now know what the HITS principle stands for. Hideous, idiotic, treacherous, and shitty.
Hey guys, it's me, Eberflus. Calling with a confession. There was never anything up my sleeve. Just better say it.
Who do you even make the interim coach? Who on this staff deserves to have a job tomorrow?
Honestly, this offense would be better if we just punted on first down.
Man, I'm tired. This team stinks. What do we do? I'm tired, man. I'm tired of watching this ass team, this ass org. Someone save me. Oh, please. Gotta do something.
Hey, I live in Indiana. I don't know if you guys know the number to the Chicago Police Department. I wanted to press charges on Eberflus for attempted murder on his rookie quarterback. Get him out of there. 9 sacks so far?
The game was at 5 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. I never miss a game, but somehow I overslept and noticed or saw Caleb getting the 9th sack. And it took me a while to realize that actually the Bears were losing. I think I'm so glad that I overslept.
Hey, this is John Fox here, and couldn't help it honest. Looks like this team might be looking for an offense coordinator, defense coordinator, special teams coordinator. Well, you're in luck, because I can coach all 3. I can be out for the right price. Give me a call.
This was my first ever Bears game in Chicago. I spent $400 to see it. I can feel proud I at least got a Eberflus chant going. This is actually probably the lowest I've ever felt as a Bears fan.
Listen, man, this is all embarrassing. It's over. Our team is trash. But listen, the last replay I just seen, when the other team was patting Caleb Williams on the head like a little child, patting him on the head, that's where we're at. We're children.
Hey, Bears fans, B-Man here. We just got stomped by one of the worst teams in the entire league. What are we going to do now? Bear down.
Can I talk about that second to last caller's point there? I thought that was an embarrassing look in the moment where Caleb was hit after his throw. He's laying on the ground looking for a flag. He is picked up by the Patriots player and then patted on the head.
Yeah. It was horrible.
Horrible.
Where's anybody in the Bears uniform? And here's the thing about that. I know that's been addressed recently.
Yes.
So you want to talk about messaging going on deaf ears? Like, I think in the last 2 weeks that was addressed. No changes. Oh, good job, Fox call in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
Siesta.
All right. Should we talk about what we were wrong about?
Yeah. Want me to start?
Sure.
I was wrong about Shane Waldron. So damn wrong. I didn't have like the highest of expectations for Shane Waldron. But darn it, Adam, I thought he'd be better than this. I don't even know what this is sometimes. Kevin Fishbane and I should not be able to call up play calls as we're watching the game. It's very Mark Trestman-like in terms of a vibe of how we can expect it, how we can see it. There's the rhythm, creativity. It's just it doesn't function. It doesn't function. What I liked about the hiring is that he had more play calling experience than Luke Getsy. He had more play calling experience than even Matt Nagy. I thought that was a positive. But as it turns out, Geno Smith's career revival wasn't the result of Shane Waldron. It was just Geno Smith becoming a good quarterback later in his career. I'm not sure what I'm watching. I think there are a number of videos out there looking at the All-22. I don't think I have to do that. We know it's bad. I don't know if you want me to hear list Caleb's numbers again. It's just not good. It's not good.
Yeah. I was not necessarily bullish on the hire, but I did. Here's what I was specifically wrong about a couple weeks ago. That's a clip that probably should be brought up and destroyed. When they were getting ready to play the Commanders and vibes were good, the Bears were 4-2, and it seemed like Shane Waldron had made some progress. And I made the case that Shane Waldron was the better OC hire than Cliff Kingsbury. My reasoning is that it seemed like Cliff Kingsbury might end up being mentioned as a potential head coaching candidate again, somebody they might lose. Whereas as things were getting better with Waldron, I don't think anybody's taking Shane Waldron seriously as a head coaching candidate. So you'd be able to keep him longer. That was my logic. That logic was horrible. He is, I don't think, going to last. He might already have been fired from his play calling duties this morning, for all we know.
I was wrong in thinking that all the communication that they were doing could be a potential positive. Because we saw how stubborn, I think you brought this up, how stubborn some play callers have been in the past here for the Bears. Matt Nagy was definitely one until it was too late. Turned things over to Bill Lazor for Mitch Trubisky. This is a problem. Looking back at it now, everything said early on, everything said in the middle of it, everything said this week. It's all been red flags for the play caller. It's time to move on.
Yeah. The biggest thing I was wrong about was that this was a good situation for Caleb Williams to be drafted in. Probably, I mean, there was a lot of things I hedged, the head coaching situation. A lot of just didn't feel strongly about a lot of stuff. But one of the things, two things I've obviously been very strong on this offseason. And one is that my belief in Caleb Williams. And quite honestly, I'm definitely not ready to say I was wrong about that. I still think Caleb is really good, can be really good. But it is very apparent that this was not one of the best situations that a number one overall pick has ever entered, which were words uttered out of my mouth, a lot of people's mouths, many times, in spite of some of the uncomfortable feelings about the coaching staff and how we all kind of knew there was a possibility that they might have to hire a new coach after this season. Despite all that, it seemed like offensively, the roster was going to give him a chance to succeed. And it's just been a complete disaster.
Well, this is how I phrased it for me. I was wrong about the idea that the players around Caleb Williams could raise his level of play as he learned on the job, good and bad.
Yeah.
Now, part of that is in Waldron. It really is. Coaching has to come through for your quarterback at some point. Literally, his job is to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just not working.
Now, the next thing I'm going to say I was wrong about is a little bit trickier because I kept bringing it up as something I was still very concerned about. I guess I was wrong in that I didn't put more credence into it, even though I knew it was a problem. And that's the offensive line. Because, like, as much as we were talking up the weapons, Caleb, and now they got a running back, set at tight end, and they got 3 good wide receivers, and that's all, you know, on paper should have been true. We all kind of knew, like, I don't know that they've done enough on this offensive line, though. And even though I kept bringing that up consistently throughout the summer as something I was worried about, in hindsight, I should have been like, they're screwed. You can have all that, but if you don't have, like, and maybe this line would be okay if, like, I don't know, like maybe even like a Joe Flacco was back there. You know what I mean? Like, that knew how to get rid of, how to get rid of the ball quicker and everything. It was just a more experienced quarterback. But it's not good enough for a rookie who's going through this for the first time. And I still do truly believe Caleb will get there. But rookie quarterbacks are rookie quarterbacks, no matter who they were. Even Peyton Manning was that guy.
I'm just not sure he's going to get there this year. It's
almost, not in this situation.
It's too late for that, right? Not with the Packers on the schedule twice, not with the Vikings on the schedule twice, not with the Lions on the schedule twice. Like, did you see their games this weekend? Like, Sam Darnold played awful, but the Vikings still won. Jared Goff on Sunday Night Football threw 5 interceptions, and the Lions still won.
Against a good team.
On the road against a good team. It always gets worse before there's any chance of it getting better, and I don't believe it'll ever get better with the way things have operated in the past.
And meanwhile, the defense is predictably slipping here. They've had injuries, and they're also, just like us, sitting around frustrated, wondering what the hell's going on offense and why the head coach won't take accountability.
So I agree with you. One of mine is I was wrong about this being different. We're talking about the Bears' plan for Williams because it's unfolding just like it did for Justin Fields, who was sacked 9 times. Like you mentioned the Mike Sando stat about the 23 consecutive touchdownless possessions by the Bears.
Yeah.
Who was the last one? Mitch Trubisky in his rookie year. So like history is repeating itself. I like the idea of not wasting time behind a Mike Glennon, not wasting time behind an Andy Dalton. I like that training camp was full on with Caleb Williams. I like the receivers they had for him. But it's not any different. It's not. We can't say that with a 4-5 record right now and with the way things have unfolded the past 3 games. 23 consecutive possessions without a touchdown. That's bad. That's real bad. Like Caleb Williams is, when you talk about the evidence that's on tape, when Matt Eberflus brings it up, it's 2 freaking games against 2 of the worst teams in the league. And you just played one of the worst teams in the league, and you got blown out 19-3 at home against another quarterback taken behind Caleb Williams. That's bad.
And then I guess the last thing I'll say that I was wrong about is just, and I should know better because I've seen things spiral, and there were, and I think I knew that this was a more of a possibility.
I like that. I should know better.
Yeah, I should. No, for real.
That should be the segment here. I should know better.
That should be the segment. I should know better. But once they decided to keep Matt Eberflus and go down the road they did and hire a new offensive coaching staff and get Caleb Williams in here and make the upgrades they did, I did not really see a scenario in which it would lead to them changing the head coach, having to change the head coach after this season. It seemed like it bought Matt Eberflus enough time, mainly because it didn't seem like they were going to be bad enough for that to happen. And remarkably, they're a 4-5 team. They're not, this isn't them getting off to an 0-4 start last year. You know what I mean? But when you isolate the last 3 weeks, it's not much different than the 0-4 start last year in a similar sample size. I guess without all the, drama of having to fire DC in there.
So my final one is I was wrong about Matt Eberflus's ability to keep this all together. I think there were signs of that last year with all the turmoil in the first half of the season. That defense, by the end of it, became one of the league's best. There was real optimism, especially because I still believe the first year it is what it was. It was a complete teardown of what Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace had built here. This year they had something to build upon, and now you have your players in various interview settings openly questioning and criticizing what's going on here.
Yeah. The alarm bells were going off after that week 1 game. They managed to pull it out. The Titans are horrible, though. The personnel usage, just the way things were unfolding in that game, it was concerning. In hindsight, remember when Hard Knocks ended and they were playing that great song, End of Beginning?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that was actually the beginning of the end.
This is the end. My only friend, the end. I'm pretty good. It's my Jim Morrison impersonation.
Well, that was a different song, but
I know. You want to get to these super chats?
Sure.
Are you wrong about anything else?
Oh, plenty.
We should have done the I should have known better because we should have known better.
Yeah.
We've covered this, and I think that's where the current Bears are kind of like misunderstanding the situation, is because we've seen so many false steps before. The organization in its entirety just doesn't learn from them.
Yeah.
Like, to your point, when the Bears drafted Justin Fields, I think you and I both felt at the time, at least initially, okay, this buys Matt Nagy some more time. He's made the playoffs twice. He has a winning record. Like, this buys him a little bit more time. Maybe Mitch Trubisky really was the problem. And then things immediately went off the rails with Justin Fields, and then you fired everybody, and Justin Fields is stuck with a new regime. This feels like history's about to repeat itself again, barring some miraculous change over the next 8 weeks. And as we laid out, it is not as easy as the first 9.
Well, this might be a discussion for another day, but that just got my mind thinking, like, so if they change the head coach, but keep the GM, like, because I would probably sit here and argue that Ryan Poles doesn't deserve to be fired yet. But is that just me once again falling in the trap of I should know better? I'm being serious.
This is
because we see this cycle before. Then he gets to hire another coach, and then it still doesn't work, and then now they're on to drafting the next quarterback. Like, this is, and this was the argument, which I guess is I should have known better, right? Like that Matt Eberflus conversation we just had. But by keeping Matt Eberflus and even Ryan Poles last year, and it would have been really hard to make any type of argument that Ryan Poles should have been fired back in January. Like, I don't think that argument really existed. But the thinking was, here come the backwards Bears again. Because they're hiring everybody in the wrong order again. They let the last president hire the new GM and the new head coach, and then they bring in the new president, and now they got the quarterback, and now they're going to fire everybody. Like, it's all out of order again. So is it just time for them to be like, all right, we need to start this whole thing from the top down?
If I remember this correctly, I believe from the Bears side back then with Ryan Pace, he was a young GM learning in the job. He deserves a chance to lead his own coaching search. Because if you can remember before that, there was a lot of influence from Ernie Accorsi, Ted Phillips, George McCaskey, which eventually led to the decision of John Fox. Remember, like, Ryan Pace went out there to meet John Fox in Denver. He flew out his wife to meet John Fox in Denver. Then all of a sudden, John Fox is the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So the thought was, and I thought he was always promised this, like, Ryan Pace will get a chance to lead his own coaching search. Like, so correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the Bears meet with Matt Eberflus before Ryan Poles was officially hired?
Yes. Yep.
Like, it happened again. This time it's not Ernie Accorsi, but this time it's Bill Polian.
The finalists were basically in
virtually
place.
A lot.
The finalists were basically in place, and then there was like, all right, we're turning this over to the guy we hired 5 seconds ago, and we're going to let him make the choice of the finalists.
So I would assume, based off history and how we should know better, like, that Ryan Poles is going to get the same leeway that Ryan Pace was provided a few years ago, that he could go lead his own search. And now you got Kevin Warren in place. And I think
that's not really, it's just a different person. It's still going to be George and Kevin and Poles on a plane. You wrote a story about how, they went to New England, and then they went to Kansas City, and then they went to Minnesota, and then there was a storm, and they had to fly through it. And you're going to write this. You might as well print it now.
Change the names.
Just change the names. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And then, to your point, let's just explore this scenario briefly. Ryan Poles goes with Matt Eberflus. Like, Kevin Warren wasn't hired to lead all of that. He just wasn't. He was hired to build the Bears' brand new stadium, which he's not even close to doing, quite frankly, yet. So putting more on his plate It's an experience that he's never had in his career either. At least Ted Phillips had experience with it by the time Ryan Pace was allowed to run his own search.
Well, that's what, to bring this kind of podcast full circle, that's what makes me concerned about that Mike Sando piece. And the perception that there's not enough oxygen in the room for Kevin Warren to be able to hire a big-time football guy, a so-called power coach, when you're saying here incorrectly that that's not really why he was hired here. He was hired here to build a stadium.
Going back to the time machine again, I remember when there were Bears GM candidates who wanted to change the structure of the Bears to become, to be the Bears GM. Some GM candidates wanted to report directly to George McCaskey instead of having that go-between in a team president.
Yeah. Well, it's all very predictable. All right. Well, Matt Eberflus will talk at noon at Hallis Hall. And before we get to super chats here, I think there's two ways this goes. I mean, he either makes a move and appears to make shows a strong message to the fans that they're working on turning things around, or he gets back up there and says, we're going to keep looking for answers for the next 24 to 48 hours, which was the same message he gave last Monday. And they came out and scored 3 points against the worst team in the league. So which one do you think is going to inspire more confidence? They might end up with the same result, quite frankly. But that's not really the point. The point is that you're trying to change this.
At this point, I don't know what's going to inspire much confidence.
Well, I think we know.
Maybe that's what they're thinking.
I think we know the answer to that, and it's not going to happen. And that would be firing the head coach this morning.
8 more weeks.
Well, it's another way to look at that, and I said this last week. That's an eighth of Caleb Williams' rookie contract that's still left in the season. So you just want to throw that away? Or do you want to try to salvage what you can from this rookie year? Because that's what I'm concerned about. Oh, Mitch's rookie year was a complete waste of time. Oh, Justin Fields' rookie year was a complete waste of time. Let's get to super chats and then we'll get out of here. Ryan Cox, $5. No one says hold my beer after hitting rock bottom like the Bears.
It's good. I don't believe there is a rock bottom with the Bears. Because I've covered a lot of these and I'm not sure what it really is.
Yeah.
The Packers are next. Hear from Matt Schneidman on Friday.
Great.
Friend of the show.
It's great hearing from Matt, but that's amazing. It's Packer week. You're going to go status quo into Packer week. Talk about we should know better. Well, this is where we are. We are actually saying right now, we do know better. We know exactly how this goes. This ends with Tom Brady roasting the Bears at noon on Monday or on Sunday. Old man on the computer internet, $5. This is why I didn't want to replace Justin Fields. Best case, we have to develop him for one season. Worst case, he sucks, so we retool coaches, waste another year. There's been a lot of that the last 24 hours. I think that's so flawed. I think when you have an opportunity to upgrade a quarterback, you take it every time.
Yeah.
So.
And I understand. Remind everyone, Justin Fields is a backup right now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I understand the numbers don't look like it's an upgrade. I understand that, but the tape from, I guess now I'm going to sound like Eberflus. There's actual evidence on our tape this year that we can play that way. Well, there is. It's out there, and to Johns' point, nobody wanted Justin Fields, and he's a backup in Pittsburgh. Gary Lavario, $20 super chat. Appreciate it, Gary. Bears fan from West Texas. Next week's game is going to be my first ever Bears game. I was so hopeful at the beginning of the season. going to enjoy my week in Chicago before the inevitable loss.
Yes, just enjoy Chicago. It should be very pleasant weather. I'll say that. Looks like 60s. So bring a hoodie, bring a fleece. A lot to do in the city beyond the Bears game that you're going to watch on Sunday.
I recommend you enjoy as much of the city as you can.
Trivoli Tavern, if you could get into it. Check it out. Yeah, enjoy go and explore different neighborhoods.
And then show up to Soldier Field with the lowest expectations possible against Green Bay. Your imagination, $5. Putting all other problems aside, did we draft the wrong QB in your opinion?
I think my answer to that is I'm not ready to go down that road. Because if that's the case, and maybe this is another segment where I should know better, we got time for that. There's time.
Well, here's my, and this is, again, you could pretty much put anything in the category of we should know better. But what do you think Caleb Williams would look like with Sean Payton right now? Because, I mean, when he's getting out of Bo Nix is unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you think Caleb Williams would look like with Cliff Kingsbury, who was part of the coaching staff last year at USC? So you could make that argument if you want. You can go down that road if you want. But I find it hard to believe if Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels or Justin Fields were here right now with this same coaching staff that it would look any different. I can't do. I can't. I don't know how you make that argument that it would be better.
Apparently, there is a Bears fan on the way into Soldier Field wearing can't really make out what a sign is, but I'm pretty sure it says "Fire Eberflus" at the end, wearing a Bears head.
Right now, he's there.
Right now, yeah.
Oh. Does he know the game's over?
Well, no, he's standing outside House Hall. What did I say?
Oh,
Soldier
I
Field.
thought you said Soldier Field.
I say Soldier Field. I meant outside
I thought you
House
did.
Hall. Yes.
Oh, well, that's fun. So we got protesters. All right, let's fire through these last ones. Gritty, $5. Matt Eberflus's current adjustment plan, probably ditch the beard and go mustache. Low key, that would actually be hilarious if he showed up to his noon press conference without the beard.
Yeah, it would be a distraction for some of us, some reporters, but no. Are you recommending it?
No, I'm not recommending it. It would make me laugh, and laughing's good this morning. The real Slim Tony, $1.99. Is it possible they have a game plan for the division?
We should know better.
That's a good answer. Austin Gutterman, $1.99. Poles needs to go.
I think the criticism is definitely extending the Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
At this point, if we haven't made it clear in this podcast, there's articles written now. We have Mike Sano's piece today. So if you're looking for some of that fire and angst, that type of criticism exists out there now. It was on this show earlier too.
I have to say, John, there's an eerily similar. Have you put together the situation in 2014 when they played the Patriots and Packers back to back?
Have I
Well, I was just thinking.
Do I want to compare and contrast the situations?
Well, I'm just saying it's a complete coincidence, but it is interesting that here we are. I know I've been pulling a lot of comparisons just in my mind. These things that keep happening. The way the Hail Mary went down reminded me a lot of that kicking on second down situation in Minnesota with Mark Dressman. Now, this is a different Patriots loss because the Patriots aren't that good, but in some ways that's almost worse. Because at least when you got blown out by Tom Brady and Gronk in New England, they were Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
I would argue losing 19-3 to this Patriots team is worse. And now that then into 14, they had a bye week and they came out of that bye and they gave up 6 touchdowns in the first half to Aaron Rodgers. So this comes back to we should know better. And how bad can it get? It can get a lot worse.
I think go ahead. So
no, this is just where like I feel like the context that we have, the context that the fans have, in some ways, you look at who's in charge at Hallis Hall right now. The only one that's really in a position of power that lived that is really in a situation that we're talking about where we've kind of walked into this accidental segment of we should know better is George McCaskey. George McCaskey should know better. He's lived this. He knows what's happening on Sunday.
That season was full of so many like red flags.
So is this one.
Yes. So like the reason Phil Emery didn't get another chance to find another head coach is just because of how disastrous that locker room had become.
But that's where I'm going with this, John. There's 8 games left.
Yeah.
What else can happen?
We haven't reached the point where an offensive coordinator is telling a national reporter that they're having buyer's remorse. 8 games for that. 8 games for that.
That's honestly what scares me. When you look at the schedule coming up, you look at what can still go down. If they lost 19-3 to the Patriots. All right, Kyle, you get last super chat, $2. Fields played this year and played better than 18.
I guess my answer to that, well, he should. It's his 4th year.
Yeah, it's also statistically inaccurate. If you look at Caleb Williams' 3-game stretch, the sample size similar to, I mean, I guess you have to kind of pick and choose what part of the season, but you're talking about Fields made what, 4 starts?
Yes. Yeah.
Before they switched?
And he's in his 4th season. It's just, it's
yeah.
different than what your expectations should be for a rookie quarterback. You can't compare and contrast what was done this year.
Look, I get it. That's going to be exhausting. It's going to continue to exist, but again, you're telling me Justin Fields in this situation would be better? Seems like a stretch. All right. I don't know if that was a fun show, but it was a show. And
Maddie Eberflus speaks at noon at Hallis Hall.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes down. Appreciate everybody being here, watching live. All the comments, all the voicemails. And make sure you're reading Johnsy on The Athletic, theathletic.com/Hogan Johns. A lot of good stuff on there. That's also where Mike Sando's story is that we've been referencing. You can check that out. Kevin Fishbane's coverage. All the coverage from Soldier Field yesterday. You should be following us on Twitter at Adam Hogue, at Adam Johns. HoganJohns.com is where you get the merch. This quarter zip. And Johnsy's polo that he's wearing today. Lots of great stuff up there on HoganJohns.com. We will be back Wednesday. Something tells me there'll be a lot to talk about. What's going to happen over the next 24 to 48 hours?
What's your prediction? Oh, we're going to be wrong anyway.
Yeah, good point. We should know better. My prediction is that they change play callers, but Shane Waldron's still on the staff.
That sounds about right.
Which is wild. Because what would his position be? You just switch.
I get it. It would further ruin things. I don't know. Don't know.
Bears. All right. We will talk to you on Wednesday.
See ya.